I thought I'd try to tie in a little bit to that theme of physical facilities, among other things, and sort of talk about the lead up to Dr. Dave, who's done so much for the program. I have a quibble with the history that I read on the website, because in the fall of 1966, when I attended the first debate team meeting, Bob Kemp was our coach. The history says he didn't come till 67, yeah, but he was there in 66. Maybe the reason for the mistake is because he wasn't the director of forensics then. Dr. Gene Akins was director, and Gene left at the end of that year to actually become chair of a brand new program at a brand new school. He was the founding director of the Department of Communication at Wright State University, which was just being created. So Bob took over as director of forensics in 67, but he was coach in 66.
I'm taking notes.
At any rate, the fall of 66 was kind of interesting for a number of thematic reasons. Yeah, there'd been an interregnum then. Dr. Baird had retired a decade earlier. The program had been run by graduate assistants. A full-time coach, they'd thought they'd gotten one, but he didn't want to coach debate. Doug Enninger, who had coached NDT finalists at Florida, but was done with coaching. So they were left without a coach after they filled Dr. Baird's faculty position. In 1966, the commitment got made to actually hire a full-time coach. So I was just lucky. It was really a wild thing. I had debated in high school, and I had earned a gold key from the IFL, which Iowa Forensic League. They only give out a couple of those a year. I was kind of like Pippin, in Lord of the Rings, learning about pints, and saying, I'm getting one, and when I earned mine and I came as a freshman on campus, I went looking for Hugh Seabury, who was the director of IFL. And I tracked him down at the campus grill right across from Schaefer Hall. And sitting next to him was Bob Kemp. And when I told Seabury I was looking for my gold key, Kemp swung around and said, we have a debate team meeting tonight. You should come. So that was actually the origin of how I got involved in Iowa debate. I was a budding journalist. I wasn't going to be doing debate in college, but I showed up at that meeting. Quick kind of statement about facilities. At the time, there actually was a forum room in the north end of Schaefer Hall, which was where the speech department was located. And Dr. Baird's office had not been cleaned out in 10 years. His office was in the northwest corner of Schaefer Hall. And our first meeting was in that forum room right across from his office. Walking in there, looking at the graduate students who were sitting on benches along the side of the wall, there was a guy by the name of Bruce Gronbeck. There was another guy by the name of Michael Calvin McGee. And then there were a few other folks, Dick Ranta, Walt Kirkpatrick. We had quite an array of college assistant coaches to work with. And it was a pretty exciting time, in a lot of ways. I ended up as a freshman helping clean out Dr. Baird's office. I wish I had saved some of those old posters of dual meets that Iowa had had. I remember a really elaborate one, a dual meet against the University of Hawaii, with all kinds of stuff attached to it. But anyway, our facilities at that point were what you could catch. The forum room and all of those facilities in Schaefer Hall went away when the department was moved to University Hall, later to be Jessup Hall the following year. So we lost sort of all of that classic stuff that was there. But what we did have was a debate house. And debate house was actually a 220 North Dubuque. It was half of a duplex. And McGee and Ranta and Kirkpatrick lived there. And they had space for some additional folks. When I was a senior, and then first year of grad school, I moved into that as well. And debaters met there all the time. It's pretty convenient. You just walked down the alley to the Hamburg Inn. A gas station next door at that time was a Skelly, was famous for having corn on the curb. So we would always say, to find the debate house, just look for the Skelly gas station with the corn in front. But, it wasn't the greatest facility in the world. It was comfortable, though, and we met there a lot and did a lot of work, and it was pretty exciting. When I started grad school, 1970, the one Dr. Baird story I actually have to tell is kind of exciting to me personally. But Dr. Baird was sort of a spectral figure for undergraduates, I think, in that 1960s period. I mean, he was, hey, we're all very self-centered undergraduates. He was sort of this fellow who would come to tournaments and sit in the back and hardly ever said anything. He sort of, was around the edges of the program. So, didn't really know Dr. Baird at all, but first day of grad school, fall of 1970, I'm bounding up the stairs of Jessup Hall, pretty excited, to be an assistant coach at that point in time. And there's Dr. Baird edging his way down the stairs, both hands on the balustrade, carefully moving down. He was in his mid 80s at that point. I think you probably know he lived to 96, authored a book at 95, I think. But anyway, I'm jumping up the stairs, he's edging down the stairs, and he looks at me. And I freeze, like I'd never been the center of his attention before. And I just sort of stopped on the stairs, and he looked up at me and he smiled and he said, "Steve," and I had no idea he knew who I was, let alone my name. "I am so glad you are joining us. And I can tell you to this day, I feel anointed." Sort of like, okay, debate is you are debate. That's where you're going to be. And I suppose that's why I'm still an active coach at 72. I've got Lincoln Douglas debaters going to St. Anselm's virtually tomorrow. So, still doing this stuff. Anyway, we didn't have a lot of facilities as graduate students in the 70s either, but we did do a lot of exciting things. And then when I did come back 79, 80 to replace Bob as a sabbatical replacement and also finish my dissertation, we did have the broom closet that you're referring to up on the top of University Hall. It was not much larger than a broom closet. So it was pretty exciting, when both, the work that Beth did later, and of course, Beth was debating then when I came back 79, 80, and then, what Dave did in delivering what we had hoped for when we started with the full-time coach in 66 to rebuild the program. All the debaters, everyone were excited about being on that pathway. And what Dave delivered is what we had all hoped for and what we were all building for. So, this odyssey has been a long one, but in 2000, when that NDT championship came along and, we had that opportunity to celebrate that event, that was fantastic. And I think all Hawk debaters owe him a tremendous debt, not just from the time that he started, but from even before when we started trying to build this program back to be a real NDT contender. And it took a while and it took a lot of work. So 3 minutes isn't long. I thought I would give it my best shot.